Hello, my name is Sidharth, and today my group and I, composed of Shouray, Ektha, Joanne, Lejla, Enisa, and Jovanny, will be presenting to you about fake news and their impacts on financial markets and companies. On the agenda, we have the following topics of discussion: what is fake news, impacts of fake news, recent examples, scientific perspectives as well as practical insights, preventions and solutions, challenges and ethical issues, and finally the conclusion.
Hello everyone, I'm Ekta and in this slide we will be discussing about fake news. Well, the fake news issue is currently a hot topic. But before we proceed, it is extremely important for us to know what fake news exactly is. Fake news refers to the dissemination of disinformation and doctored narratives oiled by economic as well as political motives. However, fake news isn't something that just impacts us on an individual level. It is something much more than that. Increasingly, we are seeing businesses fall victim to fake news. One of the many tech giant driven issues that the Netflix docudrama The Social Dilemma highlights is the dangers of fake news. As we navigate through the pandemic, the age of disinformation has reared its very ugly and hazardous head unlike ever before. For businesses, social media is an excellent way to connect as well as communicate with customers online. At the same time, however, it also brings new risks to businesses as they equally can become targets of disinformation, which is readily consumed by a significant number of people online. Fake news in the corporate environment can destabilize the reputation of companies and managers, generating reputational crisis and can affect direct revenues. This topic of ours intends to explore the various impacts and consequences of fake news on financial markets and companies. It also opens doors to brainstorming for innovative ideas in order to combat this evil through the powerful tool of information literacy. We are very well aware of how fake news stories can cause plummeting stock prices, destroy the reputation of a business, or even cause unreasonable customer expectations. Here, we shall discuss the impacts of fake news on financial companies and markets mainly under two heads, which is economic and social. Coming to the economic impacts first, fake news bleeds the company's budgets. Reports say fake news leads to negative impacts on sales of products and services, which is mostly due to the eroded customer confidence. And because of this, companies are forced to ramp up their marketing campaigns, which instill hefty spending. In the past year, hundreds of companies have been forced to spend huge sums denying false information against their companies, which includes legal and investigation expenses. Fake news can also cause fluctuations in the stock markets, which is not always financially healthy for the companies. So, fake news is obviously financially a burden for the company. Now, there are a lot of social impacts as well, the most significant being a drop in the company's reputation and value. A strong brand reputation is a valuable asset for any business, driving higher customer acquisition, satisfaction, loyalty, and advocacy. Fake news cuts into these valuations by poor placements. Consumers and stakeholders may lose confidence in the company and the brand. Even the employees may portray unrest as a result of trusting this fake news. Resources are also diverted towards solving this crisis, ignoring certain very important social aspects like training, CSR, etc. I mean, it really is unbelievable how a single piece of fake news can heavily erode years of trust in the company.
Indian pharma giant Piramal suffered a financial loss with its share price hitting low due to fake news, which was widely circulated first on WhatsApp and then on other social media platforms. The malicious WhatsApp forward about the financial health of the company was false and mischievous, according to Piramal. Piramal Enterprises strongly confronted this rumor in a press release. The statement said, Piramal Enterprises Limited categorically refused Basil's rumors regarding loan defaults by real estate developers to its lending arms Piramal Capital and Housing Finance. The developers like Nahar, referred to in the rumors, are part of Piramal Enterprises' lending portfolio, but they have never defaulted on any interest or repayment obligation. Soon after, Piramal Enterprises filed a complaint. Furthermore, Piramal Enterprises on their official Twitter handle has been continuously tweeting about their financial status. BH Telecom case. This example concerns a fake giveaway on behalf of BH Telecom. It was organized through websites that are not owned by BH Telecom. These were gifts, mobile phones for users of their services. BH Telecom has warned its users and stated that any visit to this site could potentially commit a malicious act on your devices, which may include data theft, financial damage, or the installation of viruses on the devices. In addition to the fake giveaway, the company warned of the spread of a software virus that users could send via SMS or messages to some of the correspondence applications, for example Viber, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram. Downloading the application installs the virus on the mobile device, after which the device becomes unusable and the virus sends the same messages to all contacts from your phone book. Deutsche Telekom case. In 2000, in a third tranche, the T share was offered to retail investors for 63 euros per share. Since then, however, it has gone down rapidly to about 17 euros. Deutsche Telekom didn't provide sufficient information on the company and the current situation or risk classification, and its third IPO in 2000, according to the numerous allegations made by the plaintiffs. 20 years later, a settlement proposal was presented at an oral hearing before the Oberlandesgericht Frankfurt am Main in the capital investor standard proceedings for the third IPO of Deutsche Telekom. The Bond Group now wants to reimburse them for the difference between the old and the current price. About Telecom case as a blueprint for other processes, Klaus Nieding of the German Securities Protection Association said that result must also serve as a model for the pending sample proceedings, in particular against Volkswagen and Porsche in the diesel.
Hello, my name is Sidharth, and I'll be talking about the scientific perspectives as well as the personal insights that we have found out during our study. During the course of our research, we have come across a vast magnitude of material in the form of surveys, case studies, and other data. From these, we were able to pick out certain scientific observations that were present in most, if not all, cases. They are as follows. The role of government in curbing fake news. An important aspect to understand is that the government and its various agencies are an important stakeholder in preventing the manufacturing and spread of disinformation. In the case with Lendingo Holdings, we saw how the Securities and Exchange Commission Board of America uncovered an illegal and undisclosed stock promotion scheme that overpriced the stock price by a huge margin. In such situations, we see the essential role of government played by investigating and prosecuting institutions and individuals who spread fake news with the objective of financial gain. At the same time, we also stress that the government should not exceed its powers and strangulate the media, which is often the outcome in many a nation. The second is the role of technology. It would be criminal to not mention the dynamic role of technology seen in all the cases reviewed by us. On the negative side, technology and its intermediaries have been used, be it directly or indirectly, to spread disinformation regarding companies and their activities. Social media technology unfortunately falls under this bracket and makes up a huge chunk of it. Nevertheless, the same technology has often been the one that has been identified fake news and called out people and institutions that manufacture as well as propagate the same. And lastly, the effect on society and community. A very important thing to understand is that it is not only companies that are affected by fake news and misinformation against them or for them. Community as a whole is also affected in the process. In most cases, the consumers of a product or service produced by the said firm are the first members to be affected. Later on, the employees who work for the firm, and soon anyone who is associated with the firm in any way, such as even living in close proximity to their factories or offices. Such consequences can make or break the firm, depending on the misinformation. However, the outcome is never that great for a firm, be it in any scenario. Now on to the practical insights. In regards to the practical insights, we went forward by applying the knowledge compiled in the research phase, and as a result, we have come up with three important points. First being enhanced social media presence. The best way to combat fake news effectively and efficiently is that companies and regulatory bodies must maintain a social media presence. Social media is often the first place any sort of disinformation spreads, as it caters to a large audience in a matter of seconds. This goes especially for websites such as Twitter, Reddit, and so on. Keeping this in mind, if the companies and regulatory bodies had a strong presence online, they could quickly deal with the situation before considerable damage has been done to the organization and its functions. Next is regulations for cryptocurrency. Although we have not explored cryptocurrency in detail in the previous sessions, we've understood it as a very dangerous and unpredictable variant in the whole process. In the past few years, cryptocurrency has emerged as the single most uncertain and variable factor when it comes to finance. Ever since the Bitcoin boom, the craze for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are far from dying down. With it brings a bundle of malicious opportunities for people with certain agendas. Therefore, it is imperative that government and other stakeholders develop regulations to stabilize Bitcoin from an unpredictable and extraneous variable to a constant regulated form of currency and finance. And lastly, the promotion of healthy competition and prosecution of sabotage. Healthy competition among firms must be encouraged, but the government and the people must be watchful for any signs of unhealthy competition. A significant portion of fake news targeting companies was found to be either linked directly or indirectly to the competing firms who wanted to ruin their competitor and take over their market share. Such acts should be clearly brought to the attention of the law and punished as such.
There are several alternatives to deal with falsehoods and disinformation that can be undertaken by various organizations. Many of these ideas represent solutions that combat fake news and disinformation without endangering the freedom of expression and investigative journalism. Let's now go over the responsibilities that the government has. First of all, one of the most important things the governments around the world can do is to encourage independent and professional journalism. The general public needs reporters who help them make sense of complicated developments and deal with the ever changing nature of social, economic, and political events. In a time of considerable turmoil, it is vital to have a healthy fourth estate that is independent of public authorities. Now, let's move on to the responsibilities that the technology company has. Technology firms should invest in technology to find fake news and identify it for users through algorithms and crowdsourcing. There are innovations in fake news and hoax detection that are useful to media platforms. Let's take an example of the Social Truth Project that will provide individuals with easy access to the capabilities of novel data driven services such as fake news detection based on AI technology and content verification, trust and integrity based on blockchain technology. This project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme. Now, let's move on to how the public itself can protect itself from fake news and disinformation. Individuals can protect themselves from fake news and disinformation by following a diversity of people and perspectives. Relying upon a small number of like minded news sources limits the range of material available to the people and increases the odds they may fall victim to hoaxes and false rumors. This method is not entirely fail safe, but it increases the odds of hearing well balanced and diverse viewpoints.
My name is Joanne, and I'm going to talk about the challenges and ethical issues. So, as we already mentioned, by fake news we mean not only fake news but also disinformation and misinformation. Fake news is therefore considered as an umbrella term, which makes it all the more difficult to detect and combat fake news. And the broad spectrum of the term makes it all the more significant and thus creates a much greater challenge not only for internet users but also for companies and financial markets. Which means that fake news challenges our obligations not only in terms of the importance of true information, but also in terms of the value of encouraging the use of media. Which makes it equally important not only to look at solutions to detect and stop fake news, but also, as Stroud says, more consideration should be given to the ethical compromises, as this is a necessary step to steer policy comprehensively. The ethical aspect of the impact of fake news on financial markets and companies are immense. The very aspect of spreading disinformation about a firm or an institution is unethical in the first place. It is important, note once again, that it is not only companies who bear the brunt, but in fact it is the common people who are affected the most. It should be noted that moral situations in any practical context are inherently complex and require an examination and assessment of their moral character. Thus, ethical analysis is on the one hand a necessary process, and on the other one that can fail and be revised afterwards. In the age of digitality and the current discourse on fake news, the ideal of finding the truth is in the foreground. Current phenomena in the field of fake news are often defined as intentionally and demonstrably wrong, which can mislead readers. In addition to this simple definition of fake news, other definitions show the complexity of fake news. Some of them are classified into up to 7 types of problematic content in the spectrum. This makes it particularly clear how difficult it is to detect fake news since the term includes many other areas in its meaning. The lack of a clear and all-encompassing definition of fake news makes it difficult to detect and minimize it. Furthermore, it is imperative to inculcate the ability to differentiate half-truths or incomplete facts. Often the case is that consumers are confused or have had a negative experience and are in qualms about a particular service or product, and as a result either generalize their own experiences or come to their own conclusions. Consumers and investors must be more diligent in reviewing their experiences and must communicate with the firm officially before taking any further action. This would save a lot of time, effort, and any sort of misunderstanding.
Presentation is about impact of fake news of financial markets companies. Financial markets companies are extremely vulnerable of fake news, and it can cause elephant impact on them. It also opens doors for innovative ideas to combat this evil through the powerful tool of information literacy. We mentioned recent examples of fake news from Bosnia and Herzegovina company BH Telecom, Germany company Deutsche Telekom, and India firm Giant Paramel. In regards to scientific perspectives on impact of news on financial markets and companies, we came across the following: role of government in curbing fake news, role of technology, and effect on society and community. In regards to personal insights on impact of news on financial markets and companies, we came across the following: enhanced social media presence, a regulation for cryptocurrency, promotion of healthy competition, and the prosecution of sabotage. Government responsibilities. One of the most important things government around the world can do is encourage independent professional journalism. Technology company responsibilities. Technology pros should invest in technology to find fake news and identify it for users through the algorithms and the crowdsourcing. How the public can protect itself. Individuals can protect themselves from false news and disinformation by following a diversity of people and perspectives. Misinformation is not going away in the future as the news and financial world continue to develop and grow while more people gain a platform each day. Companies need to have preventive measures in place by maintaining active presences in social media and other developing a news platform where they are able to constantly be on guard and engage fake news instances that seek to cause them harm. News sources must become more reliable and dependable in the accuracy of the news that is shared on their platforms, while consumers have to start doing a better job at corroborating their news and acting based on their findings. Bye.
Hello everybody, my name is Giovanny Rodriguez, and this is the resources slide of our presentation. For recent examples, we came across hit by fake news on WhatsApp. Indian companies are seeking help from the law. For scientific perspective, we came across research papers on Parsons, David D., Chancellor's Honors Program projects in PECU, Bianca American University Business Law Review. All photos have been taken from royalty-free sites such as Pixabay.com, Unsplash.com, and iStockPhoto.com. For prevention solutions, we came across a report on how to combat fake news and disinformation by Daryl M. West. For challenges and ethical issues, we came across Pragmatist Media Ethics and the Challenges of Fake News by Stroud R. Scott. in Journal of Media Ethics. Tools used were Canva, WhatsApp, Google Meet, and Google Search. Thank you all for listening.